I can't imagine if my worst, most awkward years, experiences, part of my life were filmed and then aired and then encapsulated for all of time.
Happy Tuesday to the Turkeyverse.
It's another episode of Nonsexual Soulmates. Thank you guys for listening in. As we've been slowly hinting, there's something brewing on the horizon. I was going to say if Kayla had something to add, but I guess my noises freaked her out too much. The moral of the story is that we have something special and it will be dropping officially in 1 week. So keep your peepers popped. But here's the deal. It's only going to be on YouTube. So you're going to have to go on our YouTube if you're a listener.
And that way you can watch me dance a little. I'm vibing over here. So excited.
You can see us when we glitch. Not from the technology, from our brains. You can see I've been really trying to have some themed outfits. This week I've got my skeleton earrings since we are in the full-fledged of spooky season. Happy 1 week from Halloween, everybody. Just as a little hint, or something special that's dropping is a little bit spooky. So how appropriate that it is launching on Halloween-y.
I'm very excited, Deanie.
It's also inappropriate. It's creepy and inappropriate, which is perfect for Halloween-y.
Oh my
Get
God.
it, weenies? Okay.
That was good. That was good.
I'm so funny. Okay, everybody. Thank you, though, for real, for tuning in. We have some chats that we're going to discuss today, and they are centralizing themselves around a question as per kind of our usual model. We are just kind of asking each other, ourselves, the Turkeyverse, can you imagine what it would have been like if we'd had access to smartphones and social media as children?
This question makes me cringe because I just know how cringy we were when we were younger. And all we had was like either Polaroid cameras. Is that the word? No. What are they called? Disposable cameras or like digital cameras that have limited memory. You have to charge them. They're very low battery, very low quality. And those were already too embarrassing. So I'm so grateful for my embarrassment and grateful for my mental health that we did not have smartphones and social media back in our childhood era.
This all started for me. I've been watching, as you guys know, my guilty pleasure. I don't want to talk about my dirty pleasures on here.
I don't
That is
like
mine and my husband's business. My guilty pleasure has been watching Discovery Plus shows such as Sister Wives, new season out now. Holy shit. I've watched all the 90-day series. I have watched, I don't know what else I've watched, but I'm now on Welcome to Plathville, which is about a family. Anyway, all of this and some other podcasts I've been listening to have kind of gotten me thinking, like, I can't imagine if my worst, most awkward years, experiences, part of my life were filmed and then aired and then encapsulated for all of time. This podcast was created using Riverside's great studio software. Riverside allows us to record remotely with high-quality audio and video tracks. We use Buzzsprout.com as our podcast hosting platform. Buzzsprout allows us to schedule our episodes and distribute them to all the different places that people listen. Click our affiliate links in the show notes to find out more and to help support our show. P.S. Each purchase through our affiliate link gives us a small commission at no cost to you. Thanks, and let's get back to the show. I mean, granted, the reality TV shows with kids, like that's obviously a different thing, but it just really got me thinking. We had the just the very whiff of the beginnings of social media when we were in high school. And we started to get digital cameras where you could upload stuff, but it was not, you did not have a handheld device that you could immediately upload, let alone live stream.
No.
I don't think I could have gotten employed. I don't know. We didn't really do anything all that scandalous, but just so embarrassing and stupid. And I was so like dramatic and the hormones, like the things I would have tweeted.
Mm-hmm. And they live on the internet forever.
Forever.
For our digital camera, I remember if you wanted to upload something on, because I believe Facebook also came out when we were in high school, correct? We're aging
Yep.
ourselves, but that's okay. You would have to like plug in the digital camera into a computer or whatever you had, I think, and then like individually download them onto the computer, save them, and then open up Internet Explorer, whatever the browser was, Firefox, log on to Facebook, and then drag them over. Like, it was a very tedious process. And we did it enough where that's all we did, and I'm glad we didn't do more. But it's the quick smartphone technology where you can snap a picture within an app or live stream. I just am so grateful we didn't have that, because I just, it would have been bad.
Those moments, like those parts of my life, I'm glad I had them. They were fine. I don't need them memorialized.
But you know what's interesting? Now that we're kind of into this conversation a little bit, I'm thinking when we were young and we had digital cameras, that was kind of like a new thing. We would take funny pictures because it was just to be funny and be silly. And we're like, making dumb faces, doing weird random things that didn't make sense, but it was for the fun of it. Whereas even in, like, I'm trying to think if I was younger now with social media and an iPhone, even though I'm glad we didn't, I think my brain would be different. I don't think I'd be on social media going like, people are wired, and these young kids are like, oh, I have to look perfect. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm doing these TikToks and I look like 6 years older than I really am for social media. And that's a whole other conversation that I deem is a little unhealthy, actually quite unhealthy for that age. But I'm just like, dang, man, everything's so different than when we were just, what, 15 years ago? Less than 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Because to back up and set the landscape for you, the first iPhone came out while we were in high school. And I knew one kid that had it. I think it was like our sophomore or junior year.
I don't remember.
I didn't have an iPhone
Mm-mm.
until college. It was a couple years after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
We had so Facebook had come out. I think Facebook had come out when we were maybe still in middle school, but you had to have a college email address to get on Facebook because it was only for college students. Do you remember that?
I remember it was for students, so the college thing makes sense, yeah.
That's how it started. And then, like, shortly after we got into high school, then you could get on it with a high school email address.
Makes
And I
sense.
remember it being a big thing, like, oh, we can get on Facebook. And so we all made Facebooks. But obviously, Facebook was a totally different animal back then, too. And there was definitely not Instagram. The closest thing that we had to a filter was that your family had a fancy MacBook.
Oh,
So we had Photo Booth, which
yeah.
I don't even know if like younger people know what Photo Booth is, but we would get on there and it would like, like make your eyes like bulgy, the very beginnings of filters, but when it was just to make you look stupid, or that like pop filter that was like four squares with like
Or
comic book colors.
yes, or it'd make your face long, horizontally or vertically. It would just like it's distorted, funny images type pictures. Yeah,
So we
that
had
was like OG, amazing Photoshop fun, photo booth fun times.
I found some of them because I think at some point, I think maybe my senior year, I bought myself a laptop like to get ready for college with my babysitting money or whatever. Um, and I found some of those, so we can maybe as we're talking, I can pop some of them up here.
That'd
But
be
the
great.
difference between that and social media now. Like, I don't know. I kind of am happy that my rite of passage was putting on my eye makeup like an absolute asshole and looking like an idiot instead of feeling like I had to look fit and sexy at 16.
Yeah, dude, that's hard. That's a lot of pressure. And then, of course, I mean, we had, magazines and America's Next Top Model. And, there is that standard, I'm using air quotes, standard of beauty, very skinny fits, itty bitty women was kind of the standard when we were growing up. And so even just those external factors were obviously impactful to our psyche. I mean, I would say for most young girls, the fact that now young girls are having things on the television and their phones that they're on all the time, I don't know how they're dealing with it.
I don't either. And for me, I think because they were on TV, so like a professional had to make that.
Right.
They're like professional models and it's a professional TV show and a professional photo shoot. I think for me that always added a layer of um separation between me and that
Mm-hmm.
because there was for me like an understanding of that's not real life, if that makes sense. It was easier for me to draw those lines. So I could easily be like, I'm not going to look like that because I don't have a whole professional photo team to do all of that shit. But now with filters, I feel like some people get so used to looking at themselves with a filter that they don't like what they see when they look in the mirror.
That's so sad. And then you're constantly comparing yourself to the other people you're scrolling through, who, by the way, probably use a ton of filters and editing tricks, and you really don't know what's real and what's not real on social media. Which is why I like that we try to keep this as real as humanly possible. Besides some, sound quality edits, we are pretty much just like in the raw. um,
Yeah, definitely no filters. Honestly, if anybody thought we were using a filter at this point, I feel like there's something wrong with them because it even gets to me sometimes. I'm like a fully formed adult, and I even sometimes will like look at myself when we go back and edit, and I'm like, my teeth look yellow, and my skin is pale, and my eyebrows are uneven. Like,
mhm.
but I have the wherewithal to separate myself from that. I would not have had that level of maturity as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, same. And it took
I
a long time to get here.
I see it.
You don't have the brain capacity at that age to understand that you are beautiful, even though potentially the normal standard of beauty, which always consistently changes, isn't fitting, you're not fitting into that at the time. And even if you technically would be considered a beautiful by society's standard, at that age everyone's second guessing themselves and having self-conscious things. That's like the hardest time, I feel like, as you're growing up, you're going through puberty, you're figuring out who you are. I'm so grateful that we didn't have it. And it really worries me about the future and especially how that impacts like my future kids
I,
and what that looks like.
and how do you like limit access but still let them be relatable to their peers?
I don't even know. It's going to be a whole thing we're going to have to, work through as we get there with our children. I I know I don't. I think you and I probably had similar experiences where we didn't get any type of phone until I don't. When did you get a phone? Your first phone?
I bought myself a track phone with pay as you go minutes. It was
Nice.
like 1 minute. I think a text message cost a whole minute. I used to buy like a 30-minute card for the month. Like, basically, I had it to tell my parents, come pick me up, please. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be left here after my volleyball games. And I feel like that was at some point in middle school, but I mean, it was like the little
Mm-hmm.
Nokia brick track phone. Um, no phone plan, just like the card with the minutes, and then I could play Snake on it.
Snake. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I love that game. Best game ever. Yeah. I don't. I didn't have a phone until freshman year of high school, but my parents were teachers within the school district I went to, so I was a lot closer to them with like communication reasons. So I didn't get mine until freshman of high school, and even back then, that felt late. It was like, wow, they already have their cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get one now? But I think I'm just thinking this out now. Once we get to the point where we're having these conversations with our kids and they're asking for them, because they will, because all of their friends are going to have them, my first thought process is, at some point when we need to start communicating with you as far as like pick up and drop off, we can get you a phone, but it's not going to have internet access. It's not going to have social media access. It's to text and call, and that's it. And I don't know what kind of phone that would be, but that would be the solution for the younger years.
A jitterbug.
Ooh, okay.
They're
You want to
basically,
sponsor us, Jitterbug?
yeah, right. I don't know if actually they're still in business, but I remember them from like 5 or 6 years ago. They're like jitterbug. It was like an old flip phone with just big numbers, no data, and just like called out and sent messages for old people.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I would like, hopefully at this point in day and age, you can get them a phone that kind of looks like a normal phone. I don't also want to, have our children feel, what's the word? I don't know, like,
Ostracized.
yeah, I don't want them to be like the weird kids without the phones, but I also
The
don't
homeschooled
care.
kids.
Well, kind of. Yeah, but I also like your mental health, bro. Like I am trying to have my best interests out for them, but
Maybe
oh
it'd
yeah,
be cool to be like off the grid when your kids are coming up.
maybe we'll try to make
I
it
mean,
super cool.
I feel like there's going to be a reaction to all of this stuff that's super fake and curated and all of that. I feel like young kids are going to get sick of it at some point, and just how like Crocs are cool. And you put like like beads and decor and shit on them, like
Bro, I will never get behind that. I'm sorry. But they're like
or those
really in right now.
Pit Viper sunglasses.
I'm not
Like the
familiar.
base. Oh my god! Just like what the baseball players wear. It like they're shiny. They're huge.
Mm. Are they the ones that Deion Sanders owns and sells?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Because those are in right now, and I do know what those are.
It's like a genre, and it could also be kind of a southern thing, but I don't know. I like things that are ironically ugly, but I feel like kids are being serious. But no, dude, it's wild, and I can't imagine. Did you
Those are
find
ugly.
them?
I just looked it up. Yeah, those are ugly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they're really fun. I want Jason to get a pair to like run with, like for exercising and being obnoxious. I feel like that stuff's fun. What was it? Oh, what were we saying before that? I don't know, man. I just feel like I already have impulse control with my phone and I'm a full adult. I don't
Hmm.
know how that works when your brain is developing, but really more than any of that, I'm just so happy that people can't go back in time and look up videos of the things that I would have talked about. My political beliefs and the balls on me and the arrogance that I had of like what I thought was an appropriate worldview, that would haunt me. I've been thinking about this all day today. Like if like 13-year-old me had a Twitter,
Oh yeah,
I would
that'd
be
be
out there
great.
like, listen, world, Jesus is my best friend. But then it would have gone on to get really weepy about like, what's the point of life? Why are we here? And then 2 seconds later, I would have been like, I just had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Do you eat crust? As I'm saying this, it sounds a lot like our podcast, but I feel like it would have been way more embarrassing.
I know. Are you gonna look back at this and feel embarrassed? Well, here's the thing. The difference is, well, we're super young, developing brain. We're still living under our parents' roofs, which is very much influencing our, information resources coming through. Now that we're adults, I still feel validated with changing my opinion, and I feel more secure in sharing my opinions and beliefs and knowing that those could change. But back in the day, man, yeah, I mean, even some Facebook memories that will pop up, like 12 years ago. Oh, yeah, I had a good time eating that burrito or whatever it is, like something so stupid or so irrationally emotional and dumb. I'm just like, well, that was enough right there. My stupid Facebook posts. What's on your mind? It's been a rough day.
Yeah.
What should I do with my life? Yeah.
Exactly. And then it comes down to my cynical part of my brain, thanks to my last job. Also, if you were wondering, you can get a nice looking phone without a data plan. How do I know I supervise sex offenders? Um, but coming back to the cynical part of my brain too, it's like kids can't consent. Like the age of consent is not the age that we're giving kids phones and access to social media. So we're asking someone who really can't consent to put themselves out there online. And I think it's weird if you were a child actor. Like I was listening to Shoutout Office Ladies, and they've just talked about like the ins and outs of the office. And when there's kids on set, like all of these rules that they have about it, no one's following that on social media, the kids
Mm-hmm.
or the fucking parents. And then you're putting like kids out there, and knowing what I know from my last job and like the perverts on the internet, and now things that I've heard that are possible to do with AI, it's really scary that your image is out there and available to be downloaded. And we'd like to think like everybody's in this nice community and it's like moms and friends and like other kids, but there's some goddamn perverts lurking about the internet, and they're allowed to have a TikTok and an Instagram and a Facebook just like the rest of y'all. And
Mm-hmm.
you have no control over who's seeing that stuff, who's downloading it, who's sharing it, and then what they're doing with it later. Like if I come on here and I talk about like my ass and titties, I understand that there's like some weirdo creep that could be like jerking it to what my earlobe looks like. I get that there's like a risk to putting my face online, but I have the life experience and the wherewithal and past the age of consent basically to be like, I'm willing to put that risk out there, and that's a decision that I'm making to release this content. I don't think parents are thinking that through, and I don't think that kids have the capacity to understand that. And I don't really want to like burst some kid's bubble to be like, hey, there's pervs on the internet. Like I don't know what age is appropriate to have that conversation, but it's certainly a lot older than the age of the kids that are on there, which leads me to my new soapbox where I refuse to watch any video or reel of a child on the internet now. Because
Mm-hmm.
also, if you're making money off of your social media, like at the expense of your kid,
Mm-hmm.
are you putting that money in your kid's college fund? Because I feel like it's their money, not yours.
That's a good question. I mean, it's. I mean, you brought up child actors earlier, and that just reminded me. What's that woman's name? She wrote a book, and the book is called "I'm Glad My Mother's Dead." I can't remember her name. She was on iCarly. Anyway, she was talking about child acting laws and how they get paid, and basically how even with all those laws and regulations and stuff, they still get taken advantage of all the time, and they don't see mostly none of that money or how it's supposed to get to them. It does not get funneled correctly. So it's just with social media. There is a YouTuber who's actually super. I feel like we're on some like celebrity gossip episode right now, but there's a YouTuber, and I should have remembered her name before I did this. Um, but she just got in major trouble with her kids. Eight Passengers was the YouTube channel, and her name was Ruby Frank. She would like she put her children all on the internet, and you could tell they just did not want to be there. Long story short, she's arrested for alleged child abuse. It's just, but and that's a whole other thing. I'm not saying that if you put your children on social media, then you're abusing them. But like, where's the fine line of just loving them so much and wanting to share a few pictures versus, you know, like that thing? It just came to mind that video where moms, typically moms, are videotaping their kid making food, and they will crack an egg on their head to like get their reaction, like hard egg, and most of them will not react well, and then they'll laugh and then they post it for social media. That just feels really icky to me, and it's just really icky.
I know. I watched those too, and I'm like, how is this funny to you? I don't know. I know I'm really sensitive too, but I don't like the scaring. I don't like any of that stuff where you're making a joke at a kid's expense. Like, it's fine if you're two bros in a frat house, but I don't.
Or if you're the type of family that like does pranks and does like little scare things here and there, I don't want to traumatize my children. Let me first say that. But if it's like, if they're old enough and it's like a family dynamic where you like to play like small little pranks on them, still doesn't mean that I don't feel like it's going to the next level when you then put it on social media and the internet for everyone to see. You know?
Yeah, because I feel like if your family's laughing at you, you know they love you. But when the
Yeah.
internet's laughing at you, they don't love you. And just last week, 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, when we were reading all of our comments, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people online are unhinged, and I'm an adult, and like people can say what they want about me, and that's fine. I've like lived some time to develop some skin, but like I wouldn't want to expose my kids to the wide world of the web. And I
Mm-hmm.
get people like most people are normal and they haven't had the job that I've had and the experiences that I've had to be as paranoid as I would be if I had kids. But I still have weird feelings about people who are monetizing social media through what their kids are doing because
Mm-hmm.
their kid doesn't have the capacity to understand what it means to have that image of them being built and put out on the internet, and they don't have the capacity to make a choice to do that. I mean, probably that girl that was like, I freaking love bats. Like, that probably doesn't like ruin her life or like change her whole world.
I
Do you know who
like
I'm talking about?
turtles. No,
Yeah.
but the turtle
Like,
guy came to mind.
Charlie bit my finger, like the
Yeah, yeah,
OG. But
yeah,
probably nothing bad happened. Probably
yeah.
it's fine. But what if your mom is like constantly doing videos about how like your family is so perfect, or here's a day in the life of our homeschooler, or these things that are just these long form videos about my kids, or these people who post their kids having meltdowns. I'm
I know.
like, or even if, and the moms like think that what they're doing is educating you on how to like what's gentle parent a tantrum. I'm like, don't fucking gentle parent off the camera. Leave the
Mm-hmm.
cameras alone. Leave your kids off of the internet. I just have some strong feelings about it. And I know I'm coming from a very jaded previous employer and situation, but I don't know, man. I just, now that I understand what monetizing is and what views mean, like, I won't sit on a reel that has a kid on it anymore because I just feel like I'm in some small way reinforcing their behavior. And I love some of those videos. Like, some of
Mm-hmm.
them are so funny and they're so cute, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude. There have been times where my mom has posted pictures of me on Facebook for like Daughter's Day, and I'm like, fucking for real? That's the choice you made? But like, I'm old enough, I can text her and be like, bitch, untag me. I look butt ass ugly. What are you doing? Like, I can post garbage shit of me on the internet. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you doing it. But
It's
again,
so
I'm an
funny.
adult. I can't
Yes,
imagine, no offense, mom, I can't imagine the unhinged crap that she would have posted if she could have had an iPhone and social media when we were little kids.
I know.
Like, I wouldn't have wanted that out there.
Mm-mm. And even if it's supposedly cute, you don't know how that child's going to develop and view themselves, and something that could be taken even positively on the internet may not be what they want to represent them. I mean, again, I don't know. People in the spotlight, child actors, with everything that's been out there, celebrities even, it's just when you have all the spotlight on you and you're just out there for everyone to see, a lot of times people will have mental breakdowns, and you know, it's not a good feeling, whether it's supposed to be a positive thing or a funny thing or a negative thing. I just, especially with the AI now, like you mentioned, I thought of two things. It's like you could use AI to create a younger person to go after younger kids, or you could take the images from actual real young kids and AI them into whatever weird dark web
That's
shit.
what's
I don't know.
happening.
Oh god. Oh, it's so stressful.
And like, you may never know that that happened to your kid, and you may never know that that happened to you if you were a kid, but it's horrible. People just, anytime you have something cool, there's always going to be some pervert who ruins it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want everyone to walk around all day the way I walk around all day thinking everybody's a pervert. I, so I don't really like wish that on the world, and I keep a lot of like the things I'll never unknow to myself because I don't think everyone needs to share them with me.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of goes back to my principle of all this stuff with social media. Like, I get to pick what's private, I get to pick what I talk about. I don't want my whole life live streamed. I'm really thankful that we didn't have that available to our parents and we didn't have it available to ourselves before people really understood what they were doing.
Yeah. And I'm glad we, have a good head on our shoulders so that we can move forward. Like I'm really thinking about our one child, but our future children, and what that looks like, because I don't ever want to look back and have our kids say, I wish you wouldn't have posted that of me, or whatever the case is. So,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, my mom knows now. A shout out to mom. Thank you for. She'll text me, hey, are these pictures decent to post? And do you want me to tag you or not? And I said, they're fine. Don't tag me. Or they're fine. Tag me. She knows to like check in with me first, because I'm like, nah, please don't do that one. That one's not whatever. So it's just it's just a lot, and I feel like things can be taken. People just take advantage of what's out there, and I'm just really glad we did not have to deal with that extra layer of stress.
I am too. My middle school was so awkward and so cringy. I'm glad a little bit that we had digital
Uh huh.
cameras. Like there's a little bit of embarrassment that has tagged around and just some like dumb shit that we've been able to save over the years, but I am glad on the whole that my time was spent outside and off of a screen and doing like doing dumb shit with y'all, like walking to McDonald's and I don't know, stirring together all the leftovers so it looked like barf and thinking that was funny. Or
Mm-hmm.
me and
I
my
mean,
neighbor, like our yards connected, but there was like a gap at the back of the fence. So we built this weird like gateway thing and pretended it was like the bridge to Terabithia. Just like dumb, but to use your imagination. I even on my drive home today, there was maybe like a 4-year old in the back of a car like at the stoplight next to me, and there was a stupid fucking screen on the back of the TV or the back of the
mm-hmm.
um
Headrest.
headrest. Thank you. And I was like, man, when I was a kid, I had to come up with shit to think about and entertain myself with the brain in my own head. Like, I literally remember on road trips, I would play a game where I would have to stare at one spot on the power light the power
Uh
lines,
huh.
and then I'd have to blink every time like a pole came. That was how I like jumped over the pole.
That sounds like me, but mine was a little bit more OCD stuff. But it's so true. Like and I can fully admit that as a mom now, I have to do better, because even at my age, with what I know, I still would consider myself addicted to my screens. I don't like how the TV is normally on. I'm on my phone quite a bit. It's just it's just a lot, and I don't want to role model that to our
Mm-hmm.
son. And also, then I want to facilitate good imagination, create fun stuff where you go outside and you do stuff and you're not always like this. Because this is not a good world to live in when there's so much more out there.
I
And I need to
know.
remember that for myself.
And I think too, like for sure, technology and phones can be a creative outlet, and there's like artistic things that you can do. And I don't want to downplay any of that either.
It's the nonsense. It's the unnecessary nonsense.
I don't remember what I was saying,
Oh,
guys. I muted
shoot.
myself. But the moral of the story is that I am just so happy that I didn't have a Twitter when I was a child because I would have canceled myself now that I'm an adult. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't. But it's part of development. Like, it's not supposed to be solidified in time for forever. Like, somebody would have come back and said I was like an evangelical bigot when I was a kid. But, like, I didn't know any better. I was learning and figuring it out. And I have the capacity to say, like, look at how much I've grown, but I wouldn't want somebody to take like this little snapshot of my life when I was like a 17-year-old dipshit and then paint that across the landscape of the entire rest of my life to say this is who I am as a person, because that would be insane.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, mic drop. You just said everything. Yep.
As my final note, I will say that I'm very excited to see how you raise your kids and how you guys navigate it, because I don't know that I will ever have to make some of these decisions, but I will be interested to see what you guys do and how that changes and how technology changes. And I mean, obviously, you guys are going to do a great job, but I'm probably going to keep checking in to see what you guys do because it's a lot to figure out and there's no
Mm-hmm.
guidebook.
Mm-hmm. We're all just trying to figure out and do the right things, but yeah. At least when we were children, I'm glad we had our dumb shit and not phones.
I'm glad too. I'm glad I made like stick fortresses in the backyard and dug for fossils that were just rocks.
I think we were in the perfect generation of not growing up with social media, but then getting it at the age where we fully caught on very quickly and then obviously can utilize it very well. And yeah, we don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad I
kind
can like
of am
type and
starting to have
shit.
issues. Yeah. Yeah. Like, there's probably some weird stuff that's going to come out in the next 10 years and I'm going to be like, what? I need some more explanation. But at least with this big jump from almost nothing to everything, I feel like we caught it at a good wave. And so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm glad I had my dopey ass little digital camera with what was it? Like a 2 megabyte, 2 gigabyte. I don't remember.
I don't even know.
The pixel, like the quality of the photos was just dog shit. And I'm over here with like
Mm-hmm.
a fucking 4K phone now. I don't even understand what the world is. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the turkeys for listening. Y'all let us know what your thoughts are. If you think I'm wrong or an idiot or an asshole, I'm sorry, but I'm not. But I'm always welcoming input because we're allowed to change our minds. And at this moment in time, that is how I feel about social media and children on it.
Agreed.
But the moral of the story is keep flapping those turkey wings. It's almost turkey season. Next week, we have something fancy dropping on Halloweeny. And we have a special edition Halloween episode on top of that.
So exciting.
All right, Kayla, I'll let you get back to your life.
Thanks. I'm liking this dancing vibes, but I will see you next Tuesday.
Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye. Bye.